Thank you for turning to page 121. Today we're going to take a look at the third part of the series on monks as player characters, and to that we're going to go to Oriental Adventures. We're going to take a look at the class, a few changes we've made to the class at my table, and the fact that this is actually the class of monk that is played at our table to this day. We're also going to take a look at the martial arts system that's in this book. It's pretty good. It obviously wasn't thoroughly play tested. We've tweaked that a little bit here and there too. But this will be part 3 of my monk series, and this is the final one. We actually get a look at the Oriental Adventures monk, and that's the one that's played at our table. Also, just quick reminders, subscribers, please do. Subscriptions are going well. Everybody who has subscribed, thank you. I also have a Patreon going right now. That's going okay. I could use a little more support there. If there's anything you can do to help out, please take a look at it. Also, for whatever reason, I'm not sure why, views have actually gone down a little bit. So I wouldn't mind a little input. Maybe I'm putting out too much content. Maybe it's not the type of content people want to watch. I don't know. But I need to keep the channel constantly growing to keep it going. So views and subscriptions are two of the main things there. But enough of that. Today on page 121, the third installment of the monks for AD&D at my table. Today on page 121. Okay, our third and final look at the monk. This is the monk that's actually being played at my table at this time. So this came out of Oriental Adventures from 1985, and it gave us a monk in an Oriental land. We had a number of monks active at the time this book dropped, and so we talked as a group and decided that we would adapt this, but one thing we would change was instead of 4-sided dice, as the book calls out, we agreed to leave it at 6-sided dice, as per the Dragon article that most of us were playing the monks under at the time. So here we have the monks, and going up in the experience points, much the same. Monks don't get a 10% bonus for going up in level. They get 2 4-sided dice per this chart. We changed that to 6-sided dice. I think it's the only time we ever changed the actual dice for any player character that was in the PHP or in any of the core books. And it says here, monk character class appears in the AD&D Player's Handbook. However, they do not truly belong with the more Western type characters there, and so are included in this book. Players already familiar with monk class will find them much the same here. However, their abilities have undergone some additions and modifications in order to mesh the character class more closely with the Oriental AD&D rules. To qualify as a monk, you must have a minimum ability score of 15 in strength, wisdom, and dexterity, and a minimum con of 11. You gain no bonus for having a high prime requisite, and you gain no to hit or damage for strength, and you never receive adjustments for your armor class for high dexterity. So the monk starts out with a lot of the same penalties that made him virtually unplayable in the first edition PHP. They learn their skills through special monastic enclaves, so monasteries. They are not religious, but they learn through mental discipline. They are lawful still, so they have to be lawful good, lawful neutral, or lawful evil. And it says here most will be lawful good, a few being lawful evil. I let that be entirely a player's decision based on when they start the character. They cannot use flaming oil in combat. Monk starts with proficiency in 1 style of unarmed combat and 2 that style's special maneuvers. The monk also has 5 other proficiency slots. Of these, 1 must be used for religion and another for calligraphy. The remaining slots can be filled as the player sees fit within the restrictions of the class. So this would actually give them 2 slots for the special maneuvers and then an additional 3 if they chose to go that way, and most will, and we'll get to that in a moment. The martial arts system in this book is kind of broken. It makes monks ridiculously too powerful. Like Unearthed Arcana, a lot of the concepts in Oriental Adventures really weren't play tested before it was rushed to press. TSR was in a financial bind at the time and needed the book out to make some money. Monks gain the ability to do an extra half point of damage. They do an extra point of damage every 2 levels. You're difficult to surprise. A lot of this is the same as what it was under the first edition Player's Handbook monk, you start moving at 15-inch movement rate, which is really good in low-level games. You cannot wear armor. You have trained to avoid blows. At first level, you are armor class 10. This improves as your style as you advance, and you use your martial arts style, whichever is better. You also have the ability to hear noise, open locks, find and remove traps, move silently, hide in shadows, hear noise, climb walls at the percent listed on the monk capabilities. So you use these charts instead of the thief charts. And monks are again fighting on the thief table. That we did let stand. It doesn't make a tremendous difference, but monks became kind of lethal under this system, and I'm going to explain it when I get to the martial arts system. So here we have table 21, monks' abilities. So at first level, you have AC 10, 15-inch movement, no bonuses for any martial arts, and then your percentages for your skills. And then let's go to, all right, at level 5, you've dropped to AC 7, 19-inch movement rate, which is very fast. 1-4. For every fourth round you're in melee, you get an extra attack. And you're doing +1 bonus damage for your martial art. And then so on. And then all the way up to, at 17th level, you are armor class -3, 32-inch run, 3 attacks per round, +4 dice of damage, and then really high stats. So the monk can get very powerful. A lot of the stats stay the same, or a lot of the special powers stay the same. The big one that we get in this one is the Kai power, or the Ki power, depending on how your martial arts style pronounces the word. I actually trained in martial arts for many, many years in the style called Ishinryu, which is an Okinawan style. It is a karate style, primarily hard, but with some soft maneuvers in it. And the spirit yell, the Ki, Kai, is pretty important when you strike and things like that. When you make a saving throw versus magical attacks, the monk's Ki power or Kai power allows him to take no damage or suffer no effect from the magic if he makes a successful saving throw. Attacks which normally cause half damage and a successful save cause no damage to the monk if he makes the saving throw. It's usable once per day per level of the monk and can be declared at any time, even after the die is rolled. That's really powerful because by the time you get up to 9th level, your Kai power improves more. From 9th level on, the monk suffers only half damage from magical attack that causes damage, even if you fail your saving throw. If you make your saving throw, you suffer no damage. And you get that 9 times a day. So if you're hit by a fireball or a lightning bolt at 9th level, you've got a chance of taking absolutely no damage from it. That's pretty darn powerful. But coming back a little bit, 3rd level, you learn to speak with animals. 4th, you can fall the 20 foot. You have trained to discipline your mind against ESP. 5th level, you're immune to all types of disease and unaffected by haste or slow. 6th, you can fall within 30 feet of a wall with taking no damage. 7th, or you can also fall into your cataleptic state at 6th level. 7th level, you can heal yourself 2 to 5 points of damage, and then this increases by 1 point of healing per level beyond 7th. So at 8th level, it's 2 to 5 plus 1, and so on. At 8th level, you gain the ability to speak with plants. You also start attracting followers. 9th level, I've already mentioned about the Kai power, how it improves ridiculously. And still limited number of uses per day, 1 per level of monk. Additional charm, hypnosis, and suggestion spells of all types only have 50% chance to affect the monk. The resistance improves 5% for every level beyond 9th. One quick thing back to the Kai power, I had a player argue that Magic Missile, for instance, is a damaging spell, therefore he should get a save for half or none. But I point out that it specifically talks about spells that cause half damage with a saving throw. So that's what we ruled the Kai power does. And we stayed by that ruling. I do let the Kai power play out as called out in the book. Makes the monks very powerful. 10th level, the monk defends against telepathic and mind blast attacks as if he had an 18 intelligence. 11th level, he's immune to all types of poison. 12th level, immune to Geish and quest spells. 13th, you automatically gain 1 martial arts special maneuver of the player's choice. There are strict restrictions on these, such as you're very limited in your magic items, up to 5, and it's very specific in here that you can only have rings that are usable by thieves or something specific for monks. We didn't really hold that much. The character class is much more powerful, but it's still not too overpowered in our opinion. So we went ahead and we let it be the same restrictions that a Cavalier has as far as, that a Paladin has as far as number of magic items, which I believe is 10. Of course, the monks still can't wear armor, but if he gets a +3 cloak of protection, of course, we let him have the plus. I've given out many magical gis in my time as a dungeon master. That's the uniform you wear in martial arts. And then obis, which is the belt that you wear. I've put some powers on those too for protection or maybe even offense. I've given little hand wraps that do extra damage and things like that. You have to be kind of inventive, but you can do it. It talks about honor here. And with your clan and everything, you don't really have honor. And then here you've got to fight for your right to party, starting at 7th level. We kept that as the Dragon article, which I believe started at going up to 12th level. That's 7th level is too low to be fighting somebody of equal power to possibly lose all the experience you've gained to that point. And then once you get to 8th level, you can establish a monastery. And then you get additional attacks, as I already discussed on the chart, and additional damage, as I already discussed on the chart. So pretty straightforward. Monks are powerful. But now we're going to go from the powerful to the ridiculous. We're going to go to the martial arts table. Keep in mind, my monk can open up things at with 5 proficiency slots. And I'm going to work with my dungeon master, and we're going to create my karate style, or my martial arts style. Karate and martial arts are not the same thing. So we're going to take a look at the styles that I can create. And you can create your own also. Karate, for obvious reasons, karate is a very popular one. You get 3 attacks per round at 1st level if you take karate. Your damage is 1 to 6, your armor class drops to 8, and you strike with your hand. Special maneuvers you can adopt while you're in the karate thing are strike 1, 2, 3, kick 1, movement 1, and mental 1. And I'll get to those in a moment. And then we have Kung Fu, which is 2 attacks per round at 1 to 6. Your armor class drops to a 6. And Taekwondo, which is 1 attack per round, 1 to 8. Armor class is an 8. And Jiu-Jitsu, 2 attacks per round, 1 to 6. Armor class 7. It was obvious to me when they wrote this, even in 1985, I had some martial arts training. It was obvious to me that when they wrote this, they did consult somebody who actually knew martial arts, because these are pretty well thought out for the most part from the martial arts point of view. You also can create a style, which you can work with your GM on. Your DM on. I'm not going to go into creating your own style in this video, because that could be its own video. So now we're going to talk about special maneuvers. And the special maneuvers, if I take karate, which is what I trained in real life, I get strike 1, 2, 3, kick 1, movement 1. Keep in mind, I get 5 attacks in a round. Or 5 of these to start. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to look at strike. And the first one I'm going to see is Iron Fist. Okay, what the heck does Iron Fist do for me? So I'm going to go to the strike section, and I'm going to read Iron Fist, which is down here. Through various toughening exercises, the character has hardened his hands so much so they feel like steel. Character does 1 to 10 points of damage per attack, if the principal body part being used is the hands. If the principal body part is not the hands, the character does 1 to 10 points of damage on 1 attack per melee round. So in other words, if I were to attack with my fists, I would get 3 shots in a round at 1 to 10 points of damage. That is pretty darned incredible at 1st level. 3 shots in a round, 1 to 10 damage. And now my second strike is a crushing blow. Character is able to shatter or break hard objects with the blow of his hand. This includes wood, ceramics, masonry, but not metal. Character can break 1/2 inch of wood or 1/4 inch of brittle stone per level. The DM can modify this based on hardness, shape, age of the material, etc. If used against a living target, the character causes normal damage plus damage points equal to his level. The crushing blow requires great concentration as the only attack the character can do in that round, regardless of the number of attacks normally allowed. In all cases, a normal melee hit roll must be made. The DM determines the number needed based on stationary target. If he hits and fails the strike, you hurt your hand. So in other words, if you're trying to punch through a door, you can concentrate and then try to punch through the door. If you don't, you almost break your hand. You can't use it for 24 hours. And then the third strike, which again, I can still get at 1st level, is Eagle Claw. Through physical exercise and concentration, the character can summon immense crushing strength into his hand. On a successful to hit roll, he can shatter objects, such as snapping spear shafts, crushing stones, etc., crush magic items, and cause 3 to 10 points of damage on an attack. This requires great concentration, as the only attack that can be made that round. Again, 3 to 10 points of damage for one attack at first level. Definitely did not think out all of this martial arts chart. Now, staying with my karate, I've used my 3 for strike, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take kick as my next one. So I'm going to get kick. I only get one of these because some karate forms are not big on kicks. Circle kick. In this dramatic kick, the attacker builds up power and momentum by spinning in a complete circle before landing the kick, usually the side of the head or to the side of the head or body. If successful on normal to hit roll, kick does twice normal damage. If unsuccessful, the character loses his next attack he is normally allowed as he tries to recover his balance. I only allow one circle kick per round. So if I have a circle kick and I get 3 attacks in a round, I can punch, kick, punch, for instance. Now, circle kick would ordinarily, under my martial art, would only do 1 to 6, but I've taken Iron Fist. Iron Fist allows me to do 1 to 10 points of damage for one strike in a round that's not done with my fist. So I could do a circle kick with my foot and do 1 to 10 and double that damage. So now my guy has gone from 3 attacks per round doing 1 die 10 damage each to 2 attacks per round at 1 die 10 damage each, 1 for punching and then punching again, and then the third attack for the circle kick for 2 die 10. So we are up to monster levels of damage from this one guy. And now I still have one other maneuver I can take, which it can be movement or mental. Let's take a look at movement. And by the way, these are kind of what travelers used to call cascades. You have to take 1 before you take 2. You have to take 2 before you take 3, etc. So I'm in movement now, and I have to take feint. Feint is a trick where the character begins an attack in one direction, last minute changes it to another direction. When done successfully, the opponent is out of position for the new attack and cannot defend as effectively against it. A feint requires 1 melee attack to execute. A normal to hit roll is made, and if successful, the character's next attack gains +2 on chance to hit. Feint does no damage. If unsuccessful, the character suffers no penalty. So my 3 attacks in a round, I can go ahead and I can make one of my attacks a feint. I go ahead and I still roll as if I need to hit. I do no damage, but if I make the successful one, my next attack, which would be in the same round, gains a +2 chance to hit because I've faked them out of position. So that might not be a bad one to take. I can take my movement because, again, I'm still in karate. And now I'm going to take a look at the mental and decide what I might want to take for mental. Mental is mental area, strike, mental. I can take meditation. Character gains all the powers of meditation as explained under the Shukenja character. Shukenja and Kenzai already have this ability, do not have to spend a proficiency to gain this maneuver. Meditation basically allows me to heal up some damage and stuff like that. I'm not going to go into it a ton because my martial artist is going to take the feint. So here I have a guy who can get 3 attacks in a round, every round. 2 of the attacks are 1 to 10 points of damage each. And then my third attack is 1 to 10 doubled. So I could generate 40 points of damage with this guy. If I forego one of my attacks, I can give myself a bonus +2 if I use feint. This is a brand new starting out first level character. I also want to point out, because my Iron Fist hand gives me 1 die 10 damage, if I go back to the chart for Monk and I look here, starting at 8th level, I do an extra die of damage. My punch is now going to do 2 die 10 damage, and so on and so forth. All the way up 15th level, I'll be doing 4 die 10 damage, and I get the bonuses per attacks per round. So I get 2 attacks here, and I already have 3, so I get 4 attacks in a round at 4 die 10 damage. Yeah, this was not play tested, I guarantee it. All right, I've said all these horror things about this class, and yet I've said, hey, I let it stand. Here's why. In our campaign right now, there are only 3 active monks. I play one, and he hasn't been out in a decade. My wife plays one who hasn't played in a few years, and Craig plays one who he hasn't used in a few years. Because they're infrequent, I do allow the monks to have all these various powers. But I throw some other problems in their path, such as they have to abide by their lawful aesthetics. They have to kind of explain their life philosophy to me a little bit beforehand. And even beyond alignment, I make them play that too. So there are a lot of things that you can do to kind of curb the character in with role playing. But as far as the game mechanics are concerned, this character class is ridiculously overpowered very early, and be careful with it. That being said, sometimes you like to just kind of let everybody have their hair down and have a little fun. This is definitely a guy you can do that with. That's all I've got today from page 121. Please let me know which monk you guys use in your game and what problems or successes you've had with it. And if you liked the video, please like and subscribe. I want to thank you for your time, and I'll see you next time on page 121.